where do we start?
Well, folks, let me introduce you to two people who were colleagues of mine down at Mawson in 1976. Over here is Neil MacDonald. He was the Cosray Physicist. And over here is Gil Barton. You've probably heard me mention both of these characters in other podcasts. He was one of the DZOs, our best DZO, down in 1976.
I wouldn't say I was the best diesel, but I was classified as a senior diesel mechanic.
Well, there you go. You don't get much higher than that.
But well, you can get to plant inspector.
Except for plant
Which I did when I went to Davis.
Oh, so there you go, folks.
In 2003.
The pinnacle of mechanical engineering.
That's right. And Neil, of course, was he was the top Cosray man, wasn't he?
He was, yes. Yeah. There was no better Cosray physicist at Mawson that year than Neil.
No.
Very true, very true.
Yeah.
Gents, we want to hear a few yarns from that period of time. Look, people have heard yarns from me about what happened to me, which mentions some of you from time to time, but we want to hear your point of view. Who wants to go first?
Maybe mention something about you. I know that you were up early every morning doing your jobs, out down to the various huts and things that you got your instruments.
The absolute hut and the variable hut and the seismic hut.
That's right, yeah. And then you'd be back and we'd hear you come in through the doors, although you tried to be very quiet, but we used to be able to hear you come in.
I mustn't have been that quiet.
Oh, yeah. No, you weren't too bad, really. And you were in the same hut as I was.
Shackleton?
Shackleton, yeah, that's right.
And what was yours?
Shackleton.
Three of us in Shackleton.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where were you? You were...
I was four left.
Four left.
It's on the left.
Yeah, you were opposite my donga.
There's a whole podcast I never did on the raids on Shackleton and what the Shackleton residents did to those people.
I remember my bunk in Shackleton, I was on the third right as you walk in. I had a little window that I could open the window.
Yeah, we all had them. Yeah.
And you could just get your head out, and that was about all, which was very useful on a couple of occasions when I was sick, out through the window.
I didn't hear about this before.
But it was after we'd had a couple of drinks, celebrating the arrival of the Neladan. Well, I think all the dongas had the same people that had been in them for 12 months and put their signature somewhere in there. And I remember one was Jack Turner. He was down there probably 10 years before me. He was the plant inspector, I think, in his year. And we were both in the same donga. And he used to come along to the dinners in Adelaide, because he lived in Adelaide the same as I did. But Jack was a lovely man, and he had a turn-off, I don't know, probably about 50 kilometres inland from Mawson. There was a turn-off called Turner's Turn-Off, and all it was a pole on the ground with a signpost on it pointing out to Enderby Land. And that's where we went with that spring to deliver fuel and all that sort of stuff out to the camp at Mount King.
General supplies.
Neil was, as I say, right across from me, and I thought that actually Greg Howarth was next to you, I reckon, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Going down the left corridor from memory, George Jenkins was first.
That's right.
Here's another diesel mechanic.
And just trying to remember who
And
was...
there's the next bloke, this bloke, I reckon.
Might have been...
Could have been me.
Might have been you.
Second left.
Second, it could have been. I can't remember. I always thought it was third, but I can't remember for sure. So.
Then on the right-hand side, it was Pete Davies, I think.
Could have been,
Yeah. And the shower, the dreaded shower, that was fantastic to have a shower in, Neil. That was just inside the door to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, my secondary role was as the water supply officer.
I always thought that was a primary role.
primary role was to help our brewing. Come on.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that.
We were limited on the station with how much water we could melt during each week.
During the winter?
During the winter, yeah. Which meant I had to monitor how many showers people had.
Hard taskmaster, this guy.
This has led to my career in the Antarctic Water Police as Commander MacDonald, where I'm still checking people's showers.
That's not a tall story, it really is. We're still receiving nasty letters from him. Yeah. About those showers we had when we shouldn't.
Out the back of the station, we had 90% of the world's fresh water.
Yes.
The only problem was it's a bit solid and lumpy.
Hard to drink.
Great in your whiskey, but not so good in your shower. So we had to have basic rules like highest priority was the surgery and the needs for the doctor to do medicine. Second highest priority was the kitchen and feeding us. Third highest priority was showering, keeping clean as best we could.
For which you're allowed once a week, I believe.
One shower a week. I'll let you wash your clothes once a month.
And what quantity of water was that now allowable?
We didn't have restrictions.
2 gallons, I reckon, wasn't it?
That was a 2-gallon bucket shower. When we first arrived, the buckets weren't there. And I think it was Greg Hoffman, Chippy Greg put them in to save water.
I thought they were there all the time. Okay.
We had 2 holding tanks where we would drip feed hot water in to stop the water freezing. There was always the risk that if a large adverse weather event happened that we could get low on water. So every Saturday when the weather was good, we would do a pumping activity from up in the melt lake where we were melting the water, pump it down to the holding tanks in the station. And if the weather forecasters said, look, there's something nasty coming, we would do an extra top up to make sure we had plenty to get through it.
Explain the difficulties with the pipes and where things could go wrong.
One of the interesting things with very cold water is whenever it's moving, it doesn't freeze. But when you do things like put cold water into cold metal pipes, there's always a very high risk that the water freezes. And it was quite a long pipe run from where we used to melt up behind the station down to where the holding tanks were.
It would have been over 100 metres, I reckon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, at least.
At least, 100 metres, maybe longer.
And this was just a rubber hose with no heating on it whatsoever.
Yeah. And that system was put in place to replace the older system, which was everyone went out with a shovel and shoveled snow into a snow melter. So probably every day or every second day there was a shoveling. We didn't have to do it, but the great explorers before us at Mawson would have been shoveling snow into a snow melter to melt it, to make enough water to keep going.
And then a few years before that, people with great ingenuity managed to rig up this system with a heated pipe that went from up the top where you had all your equipment down to the water tanks.
Yeah.
And because it was heated, but certainly our year it never froze up. That has been known to happen, but fortunately not to us.
And the one thing I do remember is when we got through winter and coming back into summer, and you have the meltwater flowing down the hill behind the station.
That's right.
I thought, I think it was George Jenkins to get a device up and build a little dam wall, stick a hose in it, so we could run continuous water down to the station.
Oh, okay.
And much to my joy, I was able to get up and berate everyone for not having enough showers. No tanks.
And everybody said, "Who is this guy? What happened to Neil?"
You must deal with the current problem.
I remember I was a naughty boy once, and I was down the workshop and I got dirty hands, and I washed my hands in the little basin that was in the workshop, and I must have thought about something else that I had to go and do,
remember.
and I went and left it,
Oh.
and the tap was left on, of course, and
I haven't heard about
the,
it. Did you hear about it?
the next thing I knew, I'd forgotten all about it. We were having tea, and Neil got up and very delicately said that someone had left the tap on down in the workshop.
Was that time I saw you going?
And suddenly I realised that was my fault. And anyway, so Neil was having a bit of a dig at me, but I was very well chastised on that.
It's an interesting discussion. We're sitting in Adelaide where we've had water issues for the last 18 to 24 months, I guess.
Have you? Oh.
Getting people to realise that things like leaving the tap running while you're brushing your teeth consumes a lot of water for no value. So at Mawson there was those little learning curves about, hey, we need to be conscious.
And I think the other thing was the old law hut, which was our toilet basically, but there was no water there, no water whatsoever.
Didn't we even have any in the basin there?
No,
I thought
no, there was no water whatsoever in the toilet.
Okay.
There was 4 drums where you could do your business, and there was a drum where you could do your number one, but there was no taps of water in Law Hut. It always amused me that this hut was named after the very first director of the Antarctic Division, Dr. Philip Law. There his name was being placed on a toilet block. And
now I heard stories that when he first found out that this had been done, he thought that was fantastic.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I thought it was very disrespectful. Actually.
Well, he didn't think so. That's the main thing.
Another interesting aspect of our water supply issue is we did not have enough fresh water for firefighting, so they would create a virtual fire hydrant out in the sea ice, put a steel pipe down, top the water off with some kerosene so it doesn't freeze. And I'll never forget our first serious practice fire drill. They had built a fire and we were all going to run and put the fire out, great idea. I ended up with what's called the branch pipe or the nozzle, and I ran to the scene of the fire to direct the water. They connected the pump up to our fire hydrant and they ran out about, I think it was 2 lengths of 75mm fire hose, prime the pump and it starts pumping. And I got about 2 drops out of my fire hydrant. Because what had happened is they had created the fire hydrant in a hollow in the sea ice. So there was a limited amount of water, just enough to fill the hoses, not enough to put the fire out.
So there was a hose full plus 2 drops.
The sea water is usually below freezing. The reason it doesn't go solid is it's moving, so it was great while it got pumped into the hoses, but when the flow stopped, the hoses froze. And I remember them spending a week or 2 feeding these hoses through the standby power building to melt the water so they could roll them again. And I warmed my hands on the fire.
I remember that day. We eventually, Guy Macklin and Greg Hoffman, I think they had to remove that downpipe, whatever you like to call it. They blew it out of the.
I remember that. In fact, I think I might even have footage of that.
Everyone had that. I think I've got a movie of that.
Yeah, so have I.
They blew the thing out of the ice and completely wrecked it. But yeah.
What got me that day, they said, right, you're safe here, but don't go any closer. But after the explosion, there was stuff landing behind us. You remember that?
I know. Yeah.
The important thing was, okay, it was a failed practice firefighting exercise. the harsh reality was it was better to find it then than under the circumstances.
Well, that's why you do it, isn't it?
That's
Exactly
why you do
that
it.
reason.
See if it works, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't work, did it really?
No.
No.
But from that you can make sure it did work, should have
Sure,
really.
the next one.
Yeah.
Thankfully we never had a fire.
No, that's right.
One of my enduring memories of you was when the OIC, or OIC as we called it, you had the work roster, remember, every week. What do they call it again? When you went out and had to do jobs, something.
Oh, Saturday. The
there's a
Saturday
name
sort
for
of. What were they called?
Can you remember?
Yeah, they were Saturday jobs. We each had a job to do, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And one time, you
And
had
they
you
were
and me
They were a different job each week. Yeah.
tidy West Arm.
Right.
Now West Arm, there's a peninsula on the western side of Horseshoe Harbour that's windblown all the time. There's three greys out on it. We go, clean West Arm. Does it need cleaning? The two of us walked out onto West Arm, looked around, and I said, Gil, looks pretty clean to me. What do you think? And Gil said, yep, looks pretty clean to me. Okay, job done. And we walked back.
Yeah. Mind you, I suppose there could be, if we'd had a blizzard, there may have been old bits of wood and
I suppose it could have happened.
crates and stuff might have been blown down there, but
there was nothing there.
there was nothing there that particular day. There was a lot of different jobs to do, you know, with mainly cleaning up rubbish and stuff like that, emptying things out.
But the main part, we didn't need anyone to tell us when jobs needed doing.
No.
'Cause we all
Not really.
no.
Although at Davis they had sort of a roster for that sort of thing, except we could drive vehicles around and do those jobs in most cases.
I have another interesting story about I think a later West Arm cleaning up before our replacement teams arrived.
Yeah.
And I was assigned to get a jerry can of fuel, carry it all the way to West Arm to prime the fire to burn off the rubbish. And I looked, that's a long way to carry a full jerry can. I know there's some old fuel stored over there, so I'm going to take an empty jerry can, a drum spanner and a siphon, and I'll get some of the old fuel. Now, the old fuel that was over there waiting destruction was 140 avgas.
Yes, yeah.
So the
High
guys,
quality stuff, wasn't it? Yeah.
about half a dozen guys, including the OIC, did a really good clean up and built a fire. And remembering now, it was summer, so the rocks and everything and the atmosphere was quite warm. They got ready to light the fire, and the OIC got my great jerry can of 140 avgas and tipped it on the fire. Now, I was a fair way away, and I could see the vapour forming.
Oh.
But some of the other guys were pretty close, and I did not have time to yell before I watched the OIC get a match and strike. And as he went forward, the flame jumped off the end of the match into the vapour. Now, it went off like a bit of a gun. Because the guys back in the station over the water heard it and came running out for a look.
I'd forgotten about this incident. I obviously wasn't there to see
I
it.
don't remember that one.
William G. Pritchard, who was the oldest guy on the station, prior to that had a really big
Big red beard.
He uttered some words which it's best that I don't remember. Something about the OIC being a fire maniac.
Bill Pritchard, his nickname was BHP.
What was it?
Bill Homers Pritchard. He loved his home brew.
Yeah.
And you're involved with the Homers too, weren't you? Were you?
I came from an interesting background. I had been sponsored through my undergraduate's degree at Sydney Uni by Tui's Brewery.
Okay.
I had achieved every engineer's dream, which is a beer scholarship. I was on the first ship into Mawson, so I actually arrived Boxing Day 1975. And
We moored on the ice on Christmas Day.
yeah.
I remember that very well. Anyway.
Yeah. We tried the home brew from the team we came in to replace, and from my experience as an assessor of beer, it was crystal clear, had an excellent head, and the head stuck to the side of the glass. That's a good sign. But it tasted like vinegar. So when the team we replaced went back to Australia, I started educating the guys about yeast strain management and cleanliness, and got them to strip and clean and sterilise everything. And okay, here's how you manage yeast strains so we don't get contamination. So we could produce a much better beer.
This sounds a little bit like Breaking Bad, if you've seen that.
Yeah.
They have to clean all the equipment to get pure drugs produced. Same with the homers.
It's exactly the same with beer. If your yeast strain gets contaminated, or you don't clean and sterilise your brewing containers or your bottles properly, you'll get a terrible taste.
Yeah.
So that worked well, but later in the year the guys were a bit despondent that we only had bottled beer and no beer on tap. So there was a discussion amongst a couple of engineers, and I said, well, actually stainless steel water pressure fire extinguishers are for all intents and purposes the same as a stainless steel beer keg. So we could use fire extinguishers and make some kegged beer. So two of us went to Col Graham, the fire chief, with this great idea, and he wasn't that impressed. So we ignored that, and I knew where there was.
Cole might see this.
I knew where there was 4 we could take that weren't in a hazardous area, so I worked on cleaning and sterilising. Other guys went to the plumber and said, we need a brass tap to use as a beer tap. We need, polished and lacquered, and the plumber made that. They took that to the carpenters and said, we need a big turned wooden beer tap handle, and the carpenters made that. I think it was Guy went to the vehicle mechanics, a bottle of CO2, a regulator, some fittings, and then I worked on creating the brews and the fire extinguishers.
You can see how the time was spent productively down there, can't you?
In terms of the discussion in Canberra this week, our productivity was excellent.
Yeah, did it work? Did it work?
It did, because when we first put them up in the bar one night, people were coming in after work for their drink and they couldn't see it, but they were being pulled a nice beer.
A nice beer, yeah.
And a bit later in came Cole, the fire chief.
You had to hide it?
No.
poured
him a beer, and he said, oh wow, that's excellent. Where'd you get that? I pointed over the bar.
The fire extinguisher.
And he was his fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher. I remember George telling me about that. What was the brand of beer that you were making down there? Was that a Cooper's brand?
I think they had... Guy was the lead brewer. I think he had Carlton and United ingredients, so yeast strains and all the other stuff you need, malt.
Yeah, well, I remember at Davis in 2003, it was all purely Cooper's. Some of the guys made alcoholic cider and ginger beer and stuff like that. Yeah. That wouldn't have been Cooper's, I don't think, but...
Matzo's?
Hey?
Oh, we got Matzo's alcoholic ginger beer in Western Australia. It's very popular.
I don't know where they got the alcoholic ginger beer, but they were making it anyway, some of the brewers down there. Up till about 3 or 4 years ago, they were still doing it, but now it's been outlawed. You're not allowed to brew your own beer down in Antarctica.
Which means I'll bet you there's people doing it.
Oh, there probably will be. Yeah, there probably will be. Yeah.
It's interesting though, it highlights the need for people in isolation like that to be creative.
Exactly, very much.
Whether it's for safety reasons or personal pleasure reasons.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to be creative. You can't ring Dick Smith or someone and get...
No.
Or can't duck down the road to Bunnings and get stuff you need.
Yeah. Was that working detail called Emu Run? Is that what we called it?
No.
I do remember a time with you've been up all day working on the water system, and Joyce had worked out a roster, and you had to do something, I can't remember what it was. I remember we said, that's not right, he's been spending all day working on water, he shouldn't have to do something on this work detail, whatever we called it. And he said, too bad, he's on it. He was an Army Lieutenant Colonel, which might explain this. So he's going on it. And you were cheesed off, I was even more cheesed off, because I knew what was involved in getting the water, because I'd been up with Neil often enough. And so I got my revenge on him. I don't know if we should go into the details. It's politically incorrect what I did.
Yeah. So was our, I guess, using fire extinguishers, and we all thought, we'll just keep it on our own station. No, the rest of the world doesn't have to know. But I think the radio techs or someone had been talking to another station and just commented in passing that, yeah, we've got beer on tap now, we're using fire extinguishers. And it was, from the response, it was obvious that head office had been listening.
Oh.
And we got a bit of a rocket.
Probably need to understand the communications in the Antarctic. There was constant communication between the bases down there, from the Russians to the South Africans and the Aussies and Kiwis and
Chinese.
Yeah, they were all there, and we all communicated like we were best buddies.
Did they have inter-station darts competitions at Mawson? I can't remember. They did at Davis. I remember they used to, every Sunday morning they had an interstation down in Antarctica.
I thought there was an interstation chess.
There definitely was.
Yeah.
Between us and the Russians, Molodezhnev.
Was it? Okay.
One was Sanai, the South African base.
Yeah.
It could have been a Russian one, I can't remember, because there was at least two, maybe three. We never finished the game with any of them. But when it petered out, I think we were always on the winning side.
Yeah. So did you play?
Yes. I started it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I talked to the radio guys and said, what about it? And I was talking to, I think it was one of the guys at Sanai, and said, you want to go in the chess? And I said, yeah, right. And I built a sort of a makeshift board, used the chippies thing and made some pieces. And then I put it up in the rec room so that whenever people were playing, we could just move the pieces and it worked quite nicely.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So it brings us to the subject of the difference in communications that we had at that time compared to what you have today. We were still heavily dependent on voice only over high frequency communications, which can be very, very challenging and difficult, and something called Morse code.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Morse code is a very, very reliable form of communications, and Mawson tended to act as a key repeater station for a lot of other Antarctic stations. It was just in a position
is that right?
where propagation conditions were good. You could collect from other stations and then pass it back to the rest of the world. So there was always a continual information flow and interaction process between a lot of the different stations. Nationality didn't matter. You were in the same hazardous circumstances as us.
I remember during the summer field work, we were on some mountaintop somewhere. I think I was with John Trethewey on that particular one. And we were in the only spot that can contact everyone. We could contact Mawson, we could contact all the different people wherever they were around Enderby Land. And so while I'm doing my magnetic readings, John is effectively controlling all the operations because he's the only one who could communicate with everyone. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I remember seeing your podcast on that. You were up on top of some mountain top.
That would have been Latham Peak probably when he got trapped up
near Mount King.
Oh, I don't know, 100 k's away or something, in the general area.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a hairy time, that one.
So you sort of weathered out a bit of a storm there, did you?
Yeah, blizzards blew up for a number of days and then started to rip the tent apart. So you sort of don't want to be in a blizzard on the mountaintop with your tent ripping apart. Not nice.
No, that's for sure. Yeah.
Even worse with the full pot of stew just being done, and then the tent starts to go. We lived in stew for the next day or so.
So did you have the polar pyramid tent, was it, or the some other type of tent?
No, it was the other one, whatever it was called, because I got some photos of it. The day after, when the blizzard had gone, we had everything that had been drenched hanging over the top of it, which you couldn't do with a polar tent. Funny story. What's a funny story, Gil?
A funny story.
Or an entertaining story?
We did have a bit of a concert, didn't we?
Oh, the midwinter concert.
Midwinter concert.
Yes, I remember you spun an Aussie yarn. That's from
Did I
memory.
spin an Aussie yarn? I can't remember. I remember being involved in singing a song with yourself and Pete Davies.
Yes, that's right. I was on the mouth organ. Pete was on the guitar,
That's
and
right.
you two were singing. I couldn't because I had a mouth organ.
And Graham Ackerman, he did a Two Ronnies, something like that, yeah. So that was a good night. There was quite a few good nights in the rec room. One of the funny things that happened, although Ian, our officer in charge, wouldn't have thought so, was when the notice board that was down in the kitchen went missing and was never found for about 3 months.
I see. Loved that notice board.
And Ian used to put all his notices on there with all different borderlines. Red was most important, green was less important, black was sort of not very important at all. So everyone else on the base knew where it was except Ian, and he didn't know that. He was wondering where the hell it had gone.
Didn't you lecture us and say this is not funny or something like that? Not a joke? I can't. I think I vaguely remember something like that.
Something like that.
He took it seriously.
Anyway, he took it seriously, and one of the carpenters, won't mention any names.
Too.
He was the one that actually took the notice board down and he put it up underneath the billiard table in the rec room. And Ian would be up there playing billiards and pool and whatever. And the notice board was right within
a few feet of it.
Within a few feet of him. But everyone else knew where it was but poor old Ian. Anyway.
And you could see the notices hanging down.
So that was one of the funny things that happened, but Ian probably wouldn't have thought it was funny, but
No.
he was very good. He never really got too upset about it. He never let it get a hold of him. And there was actually another case where someone pinched all the toilet seats out of Law Hut, and Ian was wondering he came down the workshop and wondered if I knew what had happened to all the toilet seats. And I said, no, I wouldn't know, Ian, but have you had a look down in the hangar which was about 300 metres down the coast, a fair way from the main buildings, and he said he had a look down there, and I think he went on waddling off down there to try and look for these toilet seats, but once again everyone else knew where they were, but the poor
I don't think I did. I can't even remember that.
Don't you remember that one?
That's just as well.
I honestly don't know who did that one. It wasn't me, but I don't know who. Someone who was on, probably the person that was on night watch would have done that.
Don't look at me like that.
I think you might have been on duty that night.
He's lying, folks.
But no, we had a lot of fun. We had a good game of football, didn't we?
We did, good game of football. We used to have all those vehicles.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember the racing we had around the island on Midwinter's Day?
That's right. I think the dogs won it, didn't they?
Yeah, but that was on handicap and everybody thought it was a bit unfair.
I know I caught the cook, Richard. He went around, there was a bit of a competition who was going to win the race around, I don't know what
We
island
went
it was.
twice around, I forget which island it was, offshore, but you had to go around twice.
Yeah.
Back to the base and then around again.
Yeah, and anyway, we had a few vehicles involved, skidoos and blokes on
we had
skis.
everything that would move that wasn't covered.
Yeah, I don't think we had an ice shop. There was vehicles and dogs and skidoos and so forth, people on skis, and I don't know whether anyone walked around or ran
No,
around.
I don't think there was runners. But there was that prop machine.
That's
that
right,
big
the
prop.
the blow machine.
Yeah.
I caught our cook, Richard Cody. He was going around to all the vehicles and tipping oil in the petrol tank so that it would block up the carburettor, and that was his plan, and so that they would get going, but they'd get out on the ice and then they would stop. Well, I happened to catch him doing it and told him where to go, basically.
Right.
And anyway, he thought it was a hell of a joke.
Yeah, that'd be him.
Yeah. And but I don't know how many vehicles that had trouble getting going again. But there was a few that broke down on the race. But anyway, we all had fun.
Yeah, I was on a skidoo that day.
Oh, you got a skidoo?
I did deal with it in a podcast on Midwinter's Day, I think I did. Anyway, I went around twice and I had towing a sled with John Tibbetts
All right.
on my podcast, otherwise known as Gloom.
Gloom, yeah.
Yeah. And we go charging around this island, and I happen to glance back, and there's John hanging on, and he's scraping along the ice. Because we're going around fairly tight, and he slipped off and he's just hanging on, and he's scraping over the ice. What? So I thought maybe I better stop here and let him get back on.
Yeah. He was a character, that Gloom. You
Yeah.
call him Gloom.
That was based on the Oic psychology.
That was the
Survey,
work
whatever.
psychology report, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
We also knew him as Fang because he'd be down into the kitchen later in the evening cleaning up all the scraps that were left over from tea. And then there was another guy that came down next year, Chompers Curry. He was a bit like Fang. He'd go down in the evening and eat all the scraps that were left over, the bits of meat and vegetables and roast potatoes and stuff. You met Chompers, didn't you?
I would have met him, but
Yeah.
because I was out on the field during that last summer, I didn't get to meet the new crew
The new
all that
crew,
much.
yeah.
Based on the reports, I was dictatorial. So he said, "How are you going, you mad dictatorial peach?" And I'd say, "Good, Gloom."
Fang had he had a name for everyone, didn't he?
Yeah.
He had a nickname for everyone, just about.
Probably, but they did change after those reports.
Did they?
Yeah, well, that's where I was a dictatorial peach.
Oh right, yeah.
And he gained Gloom. And who were some of the others? Murray was lazy, but I don't think we called him lazy because that really upset him.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think. Greg, how are things?
All right, yeah.
And well, I think Bill Pritchard got Bill Holmes Pritchard from Fang.
Oh, okay.
Did you have a nickname down there from Fang?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
You were just Cosray or something like
That's
that.
right.
Well, if you guys
Yeah.
have given me a lot of time, for which I really do appreciate,
Yeah.
and it's terrific to get other people's viewpoints.
So I mentioned at lunch earlier the thought of asking people to write down their fondest memory, and secondly to write a short story about how being in Antarctica in '76 changed their lives. But I also thought, maybe this is pushing everyone too hard, at our first get together in Melbourne I'd asked people individually to stand up, introduce themselves and just share it with everyone what their fondest memory was.
Good idea.
So on that note, anything more you want to say?
Not at this stage.
Okay, in that case, folks, we're going to bow out here with great thanks to Neil, our world-famous Cosray Physicist, and Gil, who graduated to become a plant inspector, mechanic superb.
That's right. Yeah, thank
And
you very much.
me, and me, who you've heard enough from anyway. So
Good.
thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good on you. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good on you. Thank you. Well, you got a bit of editing.